Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming here. We are super excited to share the story of Microsoft Mesh with you. So thank you for taking the time. First, I think there's a little bit of housekeeping. But actually, no, let's start with this slide and we'll do housekeeping later. So my name is Navjot Virk. I lead the product and design team for Microsoft Mesh. And today I'm going to be joined by two very amazing product leaders on the team, Mansoor Jaffrey and John Campbell. So first, I just wanted to get started. I know people are still rolling in, but I would love a show of hands to see how many of you have heard of Microsoft Mesh. Oh, that is very impressive. Very good. And okay, so how many of you have tried Microsoft Mesh or immersive spaces in Teams? Okay, few. Not bad. This is great. This is a great start. We are actually a very, very young product. We have just GA'd 3 months ago. So we actually don't expect all of you to, I'm actually surprised at how many of you have already heard of Microsoft Mesh, but we don't expect a lot of you to have tried it already, and that's fine. That's why you're here. That's what we want to talk about. We're excited to share with you what you can do with Microsoft Mesh. And we hope at the end of this session, you realize that you can use Mesh to transform the way your users collaborate and work with each other. We want you to understand how you can leverage Microsoft Mesh in Teams for meetings, but also for really large events, and how you can build your own custom immersive experiences using Microsoft Mesh. But before we get started, let's take a look at the landscape and the current trends that are happening. You're all very familiar with the hybrid work. We know it's here to stay. We all transitioned to this mode of working remotely during the pandemic, but even post-pandemic, we know that only about 50% of the users have returned to office. And in fact, we know that 73% of the users like the flexibility of remote work and hybrid work. We do not expect this trend to change anytime soon. We're not expecting people to come back to work 5 days a week in office. We don't think it's happening anytime soon unless people are forced to do that. But we also know at the same time, it is very hard for people to stay connected with each other. 68% of business decision makers will tell us that they are finding it really hard to keep their team's cohesion, making people feel connected to each other. And fewer people are feeling that connection they used to feel to their companies. This idea of feeling connected to each other is important, not just because it leads to better collaboration, more productivity, it also leads to better retention. So with these trends, obviously it's hard, but there is a silver lining. The other thing we're noticing is that users are more open to trying out new technology and new ideas so that they can continue to have the flexibility that they love, the remote work and the hybrid work that they like, but a way to feel more connected to each other, more connected to their coworkers, more connected to their customers, to partners. So there's more willingness now to try new things. The way we connect with each other has also evolved quite a bit. I'll say about 5-6 years ago, the only way people interacted primarily with each other was face-to-face meetings, talking to each other. And through the pandemic, we've slowly shifted. And now the most common way people are connecting with each other, even when they're present because it's hybrid, is by using video. We love videos in Teams. We love our Teams meetings. But we at Microsoft feel that we can do better. We can do a lot better than a video grid. Any of you who's ever been in a team meeting with more than 6 people knows the shortcomings of what it feels like. One, everybody's in this small squares. You're seeing videos of everybody. Now, if a person starts presenting in that meeting, then the videos become even smaller. Now everybody is this small little postage stamp. If the person is presenting, then that one person is talking at everybody else. The presenter has a very little sense of what is going on with the people who are in the meeting. Are they engaged or not? Is the message landing or not? And as an attendee, you feel like it's a one-way conversation. It's very hard for you to participate or talk to other people. And if it's a really large meeting, it gets even worse because now there are pages of those little video grids. So that's where Mesh comes into play. Microsoft Mesh is this new way for people to connect in a 3D immersive space that has a strong sense of co-presence and where you have these natural ways of interacting with each other and with objects. Microsoft Mesh is available to you in Teams. So you can turbocharge any Teams meeting to turn it into an immersive experience. A Microsoft Mesh is part of M365, built on top of M365 infrastructure. So by default, it comes with all of the security, compliance, and privacy controls that you have in M365, so you can feel very safe and secure about using it. Microsoft Mesh comes with let me build out the slide. It comes with 3 key experiences today. First is avatars. Many of you have probably seen avatars. You've probably saw them in the keynote yesterday as well. It's a new way for you to represent yourself in a meeting. You can create an avatar, customize it, and you can choose how you want to show up in the meeting. You may choose an avatar simply because you want to have some fun in that meeting, or maybe you're not camera ready, you woke up really early, it's not the time to turn on the camera, or you're in a place where it's not appropriate for you to turn on the camera. Maybe you don't have the privacy that you're looking for. That's where avatars come into play. You can use avatars for any standard Teams meeting today, or you can use avatars in immersive experiences. Second, Mesh enables you, like I said, to turn any Teams meeting into an immersive meeting. In an immersive meeting, your users have a lot more ability to feel connected to each other. We have spatial audio that allows you to have multiple conversations at the same time, instead of feeling like one person is talking at everybody else. There's natural ways of interacting with each other that make you feel more connected and improve the type of collaboration you can have. And then finally, you can go beyond meetings. You can build your own custom experiences using Mesh. So you can do other things that are things way beyond just a regular meeting that you do in Teams. Maybe you want to have an all hands. Maybe you want to do a town hall. Maybe you want to do trainings. You want to build showcases. You want to build a digital twin of your space to get people to familiarize with that space. You can do all of that using Mesh, and that all comes with all the things that I talked about that give you a deeper sense of co-presence with others, natural models of interacting with others. So Mesh goes far beyond. And all of these experiences are available for you to use on a headset, in a Quest headset, but we also want to meet you where your users are today. So these experiences are also available for you to use on a PC or a desktop. So you can have an immersive experience on a 2D screen as well. We want to meet where your users are and help you roll this out and bring the magic of this more natural way and deeper way of collaborating with each other to all of your users. So with that, I'm actually going to hand this off to Mansoor Jaffrey, who's going to talk a little more about Mesh experiences in Teams and avatars.
Thank you, Navjot. Hi, everyone. My name is Mansoor. I lead the product team for avatars and immersive spaces in Teams. Before we talk about 3D experiences, though, let's first take a moment to talk about 2D experiences that we're also familiar with. Has there ever been a time where you're about to join a meeting, but you don't turn your video on? Even when there's a strong culture in your organization, there's lots of good reasons why that may not work for you in the moment. Things that Navjot mentioned, like maybe there's this early morning 6 a.m. meeting and you're not feeling camera ready, or you're having lunch at your desk and you don't want to be seen slurping noodles. Whatever the reasons may be, we feel that by not turning your video on, the only other option being to go to absolutely nothing is a false choice. And that's where additional representations like avatars come into play. So avatars are another form of representing you in online experiences. And they enable you to be present and engage in meetings even when you're collaborating without video. And perhaps more importantly, they give you control over how you want to show up in these meetings. It gives you agency on what your representation is. And what we've done with Teams is, we're trying to meet users where they are, so we've deeply integrated this experience into Teams, so you don't have to go and download another app, you don't have to go to another experience, you don't have to get a premium license. We've built this into Teams so it's streamlined as it behaves like any other feature or capability inside of a Teams meeting. So I thought, you know what, instead of just talking about it, why don't I switch gears and give you a live demo? I am going to join a Teams meeting. And this is the familiar pre-join screen that you see. Over here is you're deciding when you want to turn your video on or off. And right next to it, you see avatars and effects. this will let you choose this right from the Teams pre-join experience. So if I click on this, if you already have an avatar set up, then you can just click on it and join the meeting with it. By the way, I think we have some of these experiences that you're about to see. They require a lot of Wi-Fi and data, so we might have some congestion. Things might be a little slower than usual. Anyway, so if you have an avatar, it's as simple as that. You click on it, you join the meeting, and you're in. But if you don't, creating an avatar is also very simple. Click on Create New, and we launch the Avatar Builder. Now, this customization experience, you can launch anytime. You don't have to wait to join a meeting to customize it. We give you a set of base templates to get you started. Pick one that's closest and then tweak it to make it look like you. There's a wide variety of options, your skin tone, your head shape, what your hair and nose looks like. So take a moment to customize it, and then here comes the fun part. You can dress it up the way you want to. And you can even have multiple avatars in our experience. You might have occasions where you feel like being a little bit formal. You might have other occasions where you want to show up a little bit more casually, more informally. So we allow you to save up to 3. Anyway, for this one, let's say that, I'm going for a little bit more formal look. This might be an overkill for, okay, here's the Wi-Fi. So there's a variety of options to pick from. So let's say I pick one from here. And I join the meeting with the settings that I have. So I save this, I go back to my meeting, and voila, my other avatar has shown up over here. So I can click on this and join the meeting right away. And when I join the meeting, what happens is, this is how I will show up. So this is my avatar preview right here. And because I'm deeply integrated into the Teams experience, if I were to do any reactions, if someone says something that I like and I do the like reaction, my avatar actually is supposed to act out that like. And if I raise my hand, my avatar raises its hand. And there's been so many times where I've seen in meetings that, hey, hold on a second, John's raising his hand, Mansoor's raising his hand, even though we were like number 3 or number 4 on the list, but it's so prominent this way that it actually is more engaging and people notice a lot more. And then if you didn't choose an avatar while you were joining the meeting, no problem. If you click on this camera icon, this is basically the place in Teams where you go to decide how you're showing up. So it's all about representation at the end of the day. So if you look at the drop-down, if you were just on video, this drop-down opens up this flyout, and here's avatars right here. So whether you're in pre-join or in meeting, avatars are just a couple of clicks away. And you can customize them anytime. And that's what gives you the choice and freedom and flexibility of how you show up in meetings. We'll have a bit more of a deeper dive, more details in the lightning talk later today at 2:30. So join us for additional avatar discussions there. But for now, let me move on to immersive experiences. So our mission in Mesh is not, oh my gosh, what do I do if I don't have video? Our mission in Mesh is, how do we help people connect and engage more meaningfully in shared immersive experiences? And this is where immersive spaces and Teams comes into play. Online meetings are good at many things, but they have their limitations. And it reminds me of a story. Back when the pandemic was in full flow, my previous team organized this happy hour. They noticed that people were feeling disconnected, everybody was remote, morale was down. So they had this online call to bring everybody together. And there were about 50 people on that call. But it was a little bit awkward because only one person speaks at a time. There were so many people on the call that I could see in the attendee list that I hadn't talked to in many months. But you know what? I couldn't really interact with them because the only way to do that was to talk in the meeting. And because only one person speaks at a time, because if multiple people are speaking, we'll be speaking over each other. Since it's optimized for a single conversation, I didn't have the opportunity to mingle with those people who were on that online call. And I kept thinking, had this been an in-person meeting, I would have walked up to those people. And I said, hey, Vincent, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. And I would have turned around and talked to someone else. But the online meeting didn't have any affordance to do that. And that's because it wasn't designed for it. But Mesh is. Mesh is designed for exactly that and a whole lot more. So let me once again switch to live demos and show all of this to you instead of only talking about it. So here we are in the same meeting, and this is how you normally interact with people. Sometimes they have video on, sometimes they don't. But you see, it's not very engaging. So what I'll do over here is that I will click on the view picker. This is where I go to choose if I want the video grid, the gallery, or a large gallery. And one of the options that we've introduced as of January is called immersive space. So you click on the immersive space, and it's going to launch Mesh in the context of this meeting. Think of this as, you know how for regular meetings, we can join those meetings we can be online from our laptops, or we can join those meetings from conference rooms, physical conference rooms. Think of this as the virtual equivalent of a physical conference room. But you know what? It doesn't have to be a conference room. We can build any environment we want. And once this loads, just give it a few seconds. Once it loads, you'll see that having people around you gives you a whole different vibe. So here we are. It's the same meeting. And as you can see, if someone is presenting a deck, we will see that deck. If people are online, we will see those people online in the gallery. I have not left the meeting. I have not left Teams. It is the same meeting. And people who choose to be online, that's totally fine. But people who are in there with me, they will have the additional benefits and the perks of interacting in a much richer way. There are two things that I would like to call out over here. One is the people that you see in front of you, it feels like they're actually there. They might be halfway around the world, but this creates the feeling that they're there with you. And then the amazing thing about spatial audio, you really have to experience it to see what it's about. Which, speaking of which, we have a booth in the expo hall. So drop by if you want a first-hand experience. It's with spatial audio. If I'm standing in a group of people to the right of me, I hear them from the right side. People to the left of me, I hear them from the left side. Because this is how we are used to consuming audio in real life. And when that happens in a virtual experience, it feels much closer to real life. That's how we as human beings consume audio, as opposed to a single audio stream multiplexed with everybody's. So being in a shared environment and having shared spatial audio goes a long way to making it feel like you're actually there with them, and that enhances the feeling of co-presence. And then, some of these people over here are already immersive. Some of them are from their desktop. Some of them have their headsets. In case of headsets, they will have a much richer experience. They will be able to use their arm gestures and body language. A headset experience is really magical, by the way. Again, we have a demo at the booth. You will feel like you've been transported into that space. So I'm going to turn around. This is the space our default space in Teams. It's a beautiful environment. And when you have your headset on, you'll feel like you've been transported to the mountains. You'll see the birds flying in the waterfall and whatnot, and it really feels like you're there. However, headsets are optional. We know that headsets are few. Not many people have them. They're expensive, they're bulky, etc., etc. That's why we built this right into Teams. I am not using a headset. What you're seeing right now is a direct screen share from my laptop. And in fact, I'm in the Teams meeting. Look at this U-bar. It's the same U-bar. I simply changed my view. And the chat pane and everything, the attendee list, this is same meeting. I have not left the meeting, and I have not left Teams. So we feel that this is the kind of interaction that now enables me to interact with people. I could move around. I could talk to Alex. Alex is waving at me. Hey, Alex. I could turn around, talk to Carlos. If I wanted to have a side conversation, I could actually go over there. And in fact, I want to relax a bit. Can you have ship with multiple environments? This is the one that's geared more towards hanging out and connecting with your colleagues. If you want a more serious work type of environment, you can always go to the environment switcher and switch to another one. So this is the one that's meant more for team building and social access. But this is what really allows you to mingle the people. I think that all the conversation that we've been having yesterday, the way at work the people, the way you walked up feeling, or where you mind with them, you could have put them all on like all things. Right. Which gives I got to bring your stamp on that virtual assistant. I wasn't able to mingle with that. But if that happy hour was happening over here, I totally could have. I could have walked up to anybody over here. We have had a conversation. And because of the way spatial audio works, a conversation happening by the fire, there's no other. Yeah. to the conversation, make in corner, another corner, and very much like before. So this is where the legitimate action is, and it brings us one step closer to what use a data corridor. That's a lot, priest. Your story wouldn't be complete if you didn't acknowledge an underrated aspect of answering. Since that day, that it is but the other thing is, he did a little bit of in real sounds good. But this gives us an opportunity to create delighted environments, to enable unlock in new ways of interacting in nothing bigger. And in that third, we say just like real life, just like real life. This is so after terrible good knowledge and like that. Like why inherit the constraints physical body? Have you ever seen someone sure versus be with it and even when they do that, everybody generally goes walks. And if someone else wants to share something like that, have to check over the screen. Well, because they're all doing that in items start assembly team. Well, now we've broken free from that. Now we have all the space that we brought, and we can lay out the things that we want. Then we interactions and groupings the baby. So with Mesh, we really have the opportunity to go beyond the constraints of effort. And with that,
good morning, folks. I'm John Campbell, PM on the Mesh team, and Mansoor's getting us switched back over. We'll get something on the screen, but I'm here to talk about how you create custom experiences and custom spaces in Mesh. So going further with custom experiences in Mesh, you've heard about how it's immersive, creates deeper connections between people and teams, and I want to give you an idea of the types of use cases and scenarios we see customers and partners building for. So common ones are things like new employee onboarding. So imagine a large virtual space where when new employees come, they show up, they can go through, maybe together as a group, maybe by themselves, wander around and explore and see different interactive exhibits and understand and learn about the company's mission, its priorities, its core values, its business objectives. And it's similar in some ways to trainings. So if you think about going and learning about different content, different ideas and stuff that teams are presenting in work context, you can go learn about those things. Training is a huge scenario for us. And it gets into even all the way up to simulation. So if you think about manufacturing in places, somebody may have a 3D model of a pump or something they need to learn to operate and learn the protocols around it, and they can go practice that in sort of a virtual environment. Saves a lot of cost and time. And Navjot earlier mentioned digital twins, so you can think about an actual model of a physical space that exists in the real world, but in 3D. So now when you have remote folks, they can all join in, learn that space, learn their way around, and interact with it. So just to drive that one home, we're all at the M365 conference, and probably all of us have been down to the expo floor and walked around and seen lightning talks and demos. And so if you think for a second, if you were trying to recreate that as a shared collaborative experience, it'd be very, very hard to build today with modern, current generation productivity tools where it's meetings and you take turns one at a time talking and it's just different decks. But in something like Mesh, you could have a digital twin of that floor, different people in there, in different booths, in different places. It's spatializing the content and the context. And so guests could come in and they could wander around in groups and have side chats and go do activities like, virtually drink coffee together, go to different places, learn about what's going on there. And so, Mesh isn't yet at the scale for something the size of an M365 conference, but I just wanted to paint the picture of, if you start to mirror what people do in the real world, there's a new type of collaborative event that this starts to open up a lot of possibilities around. And it's not just for, the really high-end, sort of custom-developed solutions like that. It's also for something as simple as your next all-hands meeting, your next town hall, your next team meeting. And so the Mesh app is available today on Quest headsets. It's available through the Windows Store on PCs, and it's really for these larger, more custom events. It supports up to 200 attendees per event. We have environments out of the box that are kind of pre-configured and ready to go for you. If you are a 3D developer, you can use the Mesh Toolkit in Unity to build custom experiences from the ground up. I'll come back and talk about that in a minute. But if you're not a Mesh developer, folks that work on Mesh, we believe every information worker at every company should be able to do some customization of these spaces and really make it their own. So there is a no-code editor for when you're organizing your events, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. And so you can get started with Mesh, open up pre-configured environments, pick one, and then go in there and start doing lightweight editing without writing any code. And I'll actually do a demo here in a second. But it lets you go in and add things like images, so you can add your brand or things that are important to you or your team or your mission and start to make that space your own. You can resize them, you can rotate them and place them in the environment where you'd like them. You can do the same thing for videos. You can do it with text in the environment. You can add something like a screen share. So in the core presentation like this one, we can all gather around and I can place where I want the screen share, control the size of it. It also comes with tools like a control panel, lets you customize. That's the tool that you use to actually create those customizations. And during the run of the show, during the presentation, it gives you some options to sort of interact with those. And I'll demo some of that. It also has a host panel, and that's where you or any co-organizers of your event can go in and kind of monitor what's going on, handle hand raises and things like that. And once you get the space just the way you want, it's really easy to save it as a template so that you can reuse it for future events later. And so let's jump over to the demo. I wanted to start at the Mesh portal. So this is where you can go and you can create custom events, and you can see on the left-hand side here, I can manage my environments, I can manage collections. Today I just want to create an event, so this will be the demo, and I can pick a start date and time and an end date and time. I can give it a description. And then down here I can choose the type of event I want. If it's smaller, it's what could be known as a single room event. So you can have up to 16 attendees, really simple, we're all in one sort of virtual room together, one environment. If it's a larger event, then it's a multi-room event. And so that is for these much larger things, up to 200 people. And what we do is everyone's in the same environment, everyone sees the same presentation, everyone sees the same presenter, but we sort of virtually break people up into different rooms that are attendees for performance reasons. But not to worry, if people raise their hand, if we're having a discussion, there are tools to let everybody, no matter what room they're in, hear and see and consume the same content. So let's see, I will go ahead and pick single room. And you can see here I get a box to add co-organizers. And so I can just type in the names of folks in my organization I want to invite. Co-organizers have access to the controls I was talking about earlier, so they can help me customize the space before the event starts. During the event, they can use those host panel controls to help me handle Q&A and things like that. And then, of course, I can invite my attendees. And when you get the invite, it shows up on your calendar, just like any other meeting. It's got a link. You click it, Mesh launches, and you go directly there. And so down here, I can finally choose if I just want to start from scratch, or if I want to start from maybe a template that I've saved before. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a template. And then I get this option where, what's the template? And so there's collections. And so these are all things that I'm a member of. And collections, you can think of these as just SharePoint groups. So the environment, the options, all the content and stuff is sort of saved in SharePoint. You can manage it just like you manage any other group in terms of permissioning and security. And so for this one, I'm going to pick the M365 Simple Demo. And here it is. And so I can pick that one and say that's the one I want to go make a new event. And then down here, you can see it sort of gives me a thumbnail. So there's an image to show, and then I can hit Create. Now, I've already created the event. So let me jump over into the environment. And so here I am. It's a big space, and so this is one that we ship out of the box. It's ready to go. And you can see in the back here, there's a kind of a sitting area. There's actually a few of those areas. So if you think about your conference, before the presentation starts, people mingle and they hang out, they have coffee. After the presentation's over, they might get together and have some discussions. And so this is a space that's large enough to do those. So I'm just going to rotate around. And you can see over here, there's kind of a stage area. I'm going to move over there. So I can either just walk forward or I can teleport. And so I'm just pressing and holding the left mouse button, and I'll just kind of teleport down. So here's the stage. Around me, you can see there's seating area, and up here is the screen share. And so that is an object that was placed here through no-code editing. You can control the size, the location of it, and I can present to it. And so if I open up the host panel, you can see here is the event going on. There I can see a list of all the participants in all of the rooms. If I want to do the screen share, I can hit the screen share button. It works just like it does in Teams. I can share my monitor, or I can pick a particular app that's running to share. I'm not going to share for the presentation today. But on the host panel here, I can see all the attendees. If this was a larger event, I could see that they were split up across rooms, who's in which room. And I can also see whether they're muted or not. I can control whether I want to enable their microphones. I can enable things like hand raise. So I don't know if somebody on the Mesh team wants to raise a hand real quick, but you'll see hands pop up when they raise. So I can call on someone, unmute them, or I can give them the sort of megaphone, which just says, hey, everyone in a room. And if you have a multi-room large event, it's a broadcast action. So let's say if someone from a room raises their hand, I call on them, I can put them on broadcast so that everybody in every virtual room in the event can hear the question and hear the discussion and the answers. And so that just gives you some lightweight control over running the event and the show. And now we'll get into the control panel. So I mentioned before you can place objects in the environment through no-code editing. And there are a number of objects in here. We're not going to go through all of them. And I suspect maybe because of network conditions, a few didn't load. But you'll see I have a left stage image and I have a right stage image. So I'll expand this. These are just images that we put in the environment. It's a URL. The images are saved in SharePoint, so you can just paste the URL in and you're good to go. You can do simple things like control the orientation or whether it has a backplate or not. But really what I want to show you is we want to make it visible. And so you can see here the network didn't bring that one back. So we will unhide the one on the right and see if it did any better. Let's see, here we go. Okay, and so these images weren't anything particularly fancy, but I just wanted to show you how you can start taking content outside of what's in a PowerPoint deck and start dressing up the space around you and kind of surrounding with content. So for example, we had an anniversary of employee on the team, had been with Microsoft for a little while, and I invited the other team members to be co-organizers, and we sort of secretly went in and dressed up the environment with fun videos of this person, with images of them, balloons and champagne bottles, and kind of made it celebratory, and it was all hidden and turned off. And then at the right time in the presentation, the slide comes along and says, hey, happy anniversary. And at that moment, co-organizers with me sort of went and unhid all of those. And so everything kind of lit up. And it just kind of created this very connected and fun celebratory moment. And so speaking of which, I'm going to go over here. And we've got some other team members. I'm just going to move up there. And so we've got some other Mesh folks here. So we're all hanging out and looking at the images that did load and the ones that didn't. And the idea here is we're welcoming new hires to the team. So this is, again, a no-code editing thing you can put in the environment. And we're all here. I'm going to go ahead and just turn around. I'm going to take a selfie with the team. So I'm going to use the camera tool. And so here we are on camera. I can flip the camera around the other way, and so we can all emote and have fun and snap a quick pic. And you've got a pic of it, so we can celebrate the first Mesh M365 breakout session where not all the images loaded. And that's just stored in OneDrive, so I can pull that down, I can share it out, as you like. And so there is Mesh. Let's go back to the deck. Okay, skip over that. So I want to talk about the Mesh Toolkit. If you want to go even further than the lightweight no-code editing, we have the Mesh Toolkit in Unity. It lets you develop, custom solutions there, for everything you can kind of imagine, right? Completely custom environments with custom behaviors in it. You have a lot of control over different artifacts. So some of the things it allows you to do, it supports visual scripting and cloud scripting. So you can bring in interactivity and custom logic into it. So you can have buttons that control things that move around in the environment. You can bring in your live backend data in a very secure and connected way and sort of pull in data. You might put it in a web slate. So you can drop a web slate in Mesh, which is just sort of a web view control. Let you look at web pages out there. You can hook that up to the back end, place it where you want. Once you place it in Unity, it's now available through no-code editing, so anybody can pop that up and change the URL. So it's an easy way to bring web content in. It also supports physics, so very rich interactions. As Mansfield was talking about earlier, you sort of learn growing up. I hear people on the left, they're over there, or on the right. There's all these physical interactions with spatial audio that are natural. Physics is the same thing. People don't have to sort of be taught how physics work. You've learned it your whole life. So there's a very rich library there. And we'll give a talk tomorrow, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. There's also a lightning talk tomorrow where you can come and watch no-code editing fuller. Matt Chrysler from the team will show you how to add things. And so that's just a little overview of what you can do with the toolkit. It also has some graphics and performance tools. Particularly if you're wearing a headset, you want to make sure everything stays fast and smooth. So there's some great pre-built tools that are to help you out. And so we're built on trust. We are part of the M365 stack, so it is true enterprise grade. We integrate with tools that you use every day. We take security, privacy, compliance, manageability, very, very important to us. We work with Intra ID, which formerly known as Azure Active Directory, for your sign-on, your authentication. And so we're fully integrated into the stack there. So let me just talk about a few examples that we've seen customers and partners build, and I'll give a couple of quick ones that we've done at Microsoft. So first I want to start with Accenture. They've been a great partner. They're out there helping other customers build custom solutions in Mesh, but they also use it, and they've got tens of thousands of employees that go through it, and they use it for a new joiner experience. That's that new employee onboarding. And they've kind of created this virtual campus. It's this giant environment. It's called One Accenture Park. People go in there as a cohort. They get a guided tour, and they can go together in a self-guided way and go around and explore the environment. And there's lots of places to learn about the mission, the culture, the business, and the objectives. There's also fun activities they can do together to kind of create and meet other new employees and form some of those bonds. So there's zip lines. There's just a whole bunch of things in there to go do. And the feedback has been awesome. People have talked about greater connection to the company and its mission, higher retention, employee satisfaction, and deeper bonds with other employees. And one other example I wanted to give, Mercy Ships. So this is an international charity that provides healthcare to communities in need in Africa. It is a volunteer crew. It's a large crew, 1,200 people, and it's staffed by folks all around the world. So it's got high turnover rates since it's a volunteer organization. Over 60 nations, folks from over 60 nations participate in it. And so you can imagine the time and the cost to take all of those folks, flying them into the ship. It's basically a floating hospital that's docked there, and they got to learn their way around the ship, learn their crewmates, start building those bonds, and start learning how to do the healthcare work. So in Mesh, there was a partnership with Dell and a company called Link to VR, and they built you can think of a digital twin of the ship. And so before people show up, they can go inside of Mesh, learn their way around the ship, learn where all the equipment is, where all the rooms are, start meeting other coworkers and crewmates, and start building some of those connections early, before they ever arrive. So that when they show up there, they can get much faster, much more quickly, get into the business of providing the healthcare. So great digital twin story. So here's just a few quick examples from Microsoft. We've got a Give campaign. So we do charity events every year. It's a tradition at Microsoft. And one of the things we did, because of Mercy Ships, we wanted folks to donate to that particular one. So folks on the team set up a quick environment, went through, people could learn about Mercy Ships. We also went to the actual ship itself in virtual reality. There were fun races on the ships, there were scavenger hunts, and then we hosted a panel discussion where folks came in from Link to VR and from Mercy Ships and talked about how they designed it, why, what for, what the different feedback was. And again, just another simple example of applying Mesh locally at Microsoft. Another one I'll touch on, the celebration of Women's Day. We had an environment that felt very museum-like, and so some folks on the team through no-code editing just went and they leveraged things like PowerPoint, Copilot, found other information and created, essentially, you could think about images talking about different women throughout history and their contributions, and they placed it all around the environment. So the team could get together and they could go through, walk around and explore the space, discuss different women and their contributions. And one of the last examples I'll give is the Lunar New Year. So Microsoft, I'm sure like many companies, has what we call employee resource groups. So these are communities inside the company that get together and form relationships and bonds. This one was done by Asians at Microsoft. It is a beautiful environment that somebody created. They then went through and took other content from the Lunar New Year. So you had video montage of people talking about what it meant to them that was in the environment, different pictures from the team over time from various in-person events from Asians at Microsoft. So there were people that studied Tai Chi and other things. Those were represented there. And then through no-code editing, folks were able to go and hide these different lunar zodiac figures. And so after kind of the presentation, people could go explore, and then through no-code, we just made all of those visible, so now the scavenger hunt could begin. So if you think about running these types of events, you have control over when different things are visible, when they're not. You have control over when to sort of do the post-mixers and the pre-mixers and things like that. So really, these types of events bring you much closer to the kinds of things that we do together in physical reality. And so with that, I wanted to bring Navjot back up, and she's going to wrap us up for the next few minutes, and then we'll start Q&A.
I hope this has been a little bit of a whirlwind of what Mesh is and how you can use it, but I hope it gave you an idea of how you can use Mesh to really transform how your users collaborate and work with each other. And I hope you also got to see that it goes far beyond just meetings. This is a whole new paradigm, a whole new way of interacting with each other. And literally, you can imagine it and you can build it and you can use it for many, many more scenarios like John just highlighted. So next, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how do you get started. Like I said, we've just shipped. We are available. We shipped 3 months ago. We GA'd. If you're a Teams user today, you can go and get the immersive meetings experience available to most of the Teams users today itself. And the stuff that John showed, which is about building custom experiences, that is available as part of Teams Premium. We already mentioned this. These experiences are available for you to use on a Quest headset, but obviously they also work on PCs and desktop like we just showed you. We actually have a booth in the expo hall. I know many people have been stopping by, so if you really want to experience this firsthand and see the magic of Mesh, I really encourage you to go stop by the booth. We have headsets there. We also have laptops, so you can experience both the sets of full VR experience and also see what it will feel like for users who are on desktops. So please do stop by. And you can go try these things today. At bare minimum, I would say if you are a Teams user, just go change your view to immersive spaces, try out an immersive meeting. You can start with simple social gatherings and social meetings that you have and slowly move to doing productivity meetings. And then you can build your own custom experiences. We have a 6-month trial, free trial available to you to go try those out and build something simple. You can build something in Unity, but we do have templates that ship in the product by default that you can use and easily customize. You don't need any Unity experience. So you can get started on this today. Please try it out. We're a new product. We would love feedback. We would love to hear what you think of it. We would love for you to help shape the product. And with that, I want to thank you for your time. And I'm actually going to invite Mansoor and John back on the stage. So we'll transition to Q&A. Happy to answer questions. Oh, for recordings of meetings?
You've got multiple conversations going on, and you were doing a recording. I wanted to know what happened to that, but it looks like you can't record, you can only transcribe.
Because we're in Teams, we inherit a lot of the functionality available in Teams. So we get transcription and recording, but of the gallery view. So we don't have a recording of the 3D view yet. I didn't emphasize this, but there was a place in the environment where content was being projected. That is what we call the meeting zone, and that's where the audio video from the Teams meeting is being shared. Now, if you wander away, very much like in the real world, like if you were in a conference room and you left that space and you went into the hallways, that is beyond the scope of that quote-unquote meeting. And so if you're in that conference room, if you're in that meeting zone, that part we will record.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So the question was, for those that didn't hear it, is there ability to have sort of a perpetual happy hour or a place where people get to mingle and can sort of join in at any time? And we've heard from customers, some of those, they just want really long events where they don't want people hanging out and playing games all day. So they might have Fridays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. But there's also a need that we've heard for a persistent place where people can just kind of come and go. So that's not currently supported as of GA. That is something we've heard a lot of asks for and something we are understanding. It's on our roadmap. We're working on it. And so stick with us. You're going to see a lot of what we showed you today get a whole lot better over the rest of this year.
If I may add to your question, a place is only as interesting as the things that you do in that space. So if you go in there and it's just the same old thing, you get bored pretty fast. So we also have a bunch of activities and things that you can do, which are also in the works. So stay tuned.
I noticed that I believe you said it wasn't on your implementation yet. Do you know when it might be released?
So currently, yes, there's a few limitations on the Teams licenses that you can use. EDU, especially higher ed, is something we are looking at carefully right now. It's on the roadmap, but we don't have a date for it yet. There was a question at the back. I will come back. I know somebody has a hand raised here. I saw something, but I forgot.
Continuation. If we have Teams Premium, does that give those education users access to it, or no education, even if you have Teams Premium?
That is a good question. I'll have to go and check. I would assume if you have Teams Premium, you get access to it, but I will have to go back and check. Don't take my word for it. I can follow up. Feel free to send a question to me and we can get back to you. Just send me a mail. Yes, at the back.
So hopefully I can ruffle any feathers, and I'm going to start off with a weird tangent. So I'm a huge fan of Zoom still, as well as Windows Phone, and also mixed reality headsets. The thing that I keep on coming back to with Mesh is that I like this, but what is the possibility that this is just going to get killed off like mixed reality was?
Okay. Good. Interesting question. If we hear, yes, okay. The question is that, I think what you're trying to say is there a path that we think that the product will not survive? This is part of M365 and integrated into Teams. We've already GA'd the product, so a lot of other things that you're talking about went through a very different journey. Every product, in all honesty, immersive experiences is a new paradigm. It's a new category. We're not just shipping a new product, it's a new product in a whole new category. We're being very thoughtful around how Microsoft is approaching this. That's why we've tied this to our strengths, things we understand really, really well, which is actually enterprise products, business needs, and those are the scenarios we're going after. We have a very, very strong signal from our customers about what they're looking for, how they want to use it, and the use cases, like we shared a few of them, they're real use cases. This is not just some toy product that we're building and we want people to try out. There's a lot of other people in the industry who are venturing into the consumer space, and we're very glad that they're doing that. It's I am a believer in it, but I think that's a long journey there, beyond gaming. We're very focused. We've taken a narrow focus for a specific reason at Microsoft. We understand this space really well. We know how to integrate into existing products, and we see this as an evolution of what happens to teams and how people interact with each other. And we just see this as a natural transition that over time, people will want to move into this and not just be stuck in a video. So, this is like how you went from in-person conversations to audio, audio to video, video to immersive. So we see it that way. Microsoft is super committed. We're very excited to jump into this space. We're also partnering with other companies outside. And we truly believe this is the future.
There were a couple of aspects I want to emphasize real quick in the way in which our strategy is slightly differentiated. A lot of companies have tried to crack immersive collaboration. Just like a social network, it's only as useful as your network. And so if you get into an experience but there's nobody there to collaborate with, it's dead in the water, which is why we're betting on Teams. This is where 320 million users come every month. And the other one is a lot of companies have put all their eggs into the VR headset basket. We are not betting on the VR headset alone, which is why you see that regardless of your endpoint, if it's a PC or a Mac or a headset, it works across the board.
Oh, that's a good question. Where do we think majority of our interactions will come from? From Teams meetings or the custom worlds? We actually think that there are two complementary scenarios. They exist today. People have meetings every single day, so daily usage, everyday usage comes from Teams meetings. But we do believe that all of us participate in a lot of large events. Here we are in a conference, and every single day people go to trainings and people have large all hands, or depending on the organization you belong to. Those are very legit scenarios too, but those things are usually not daily habits. So the way we are looking at this is immersive will come to you as a daily habit as part of everyday work, but it'll also become a very big part of these big events that don't happen every single day. We expect some people who have the expertise, the money, and very custom scenarios to invest heavily in building custom experiences of their own and therefore use them very regularly. We already have some customers who are doing that. But at the same time, we also understand that not everybody will be able to, one does not have 3D expertise in-house or be able to hire somebody to build 3D stuff for them. And that's where we long-term want to invest heavily in giving you a lot of value in the product itself. So you can build, there'll be a lot more templates that you can use and customize. So we're investing both in a rich dev toolkit, but also out-of-box no-code customizations. Yes, question at the back.
Have your customers mentioned anything about the learning curve for new users? I'm thinking about the scenario you gave of the employee orientation. You have someone signing in at 9 o'clock and they still have to figure out how to use Teams, how to build an avatar, how to manipulate inside the virtual
Very good question. How do we help users who are first-time users get familiarized with the entire model? And your ask was, oh, they have to now get an app, they have to get create an avatar, learn how to work in it, or navigate an immersive space. So a few things that we're doing here. We do have a recommendation for best practices. We recommend that people create their avatars first. And if you notice, it's not just like coincidence that avatars shipped way before and avatars are part of regular Teams meetings. We want people to get familiar and create their avatars way before they ever do their very first immersive experience. So if you already are a Teams user, we introduce avatars. You can use them in 2D meetings. You don't have to wait to create an avatar to get into an immersive meeting. And we also have best practices for event organizers, which would recommend that encourage your people to create an avatar before the 9 o'clock meeting, not at the time of 9 o'clock meeting. We also usually recommend that you give them an extra 15 minutes in the morning to make sure everything is set up and familiarize themselves to go through the first run experience of how to use it. That said, the typical navigation of, if you're using a headset, it's pretty simple. Like, you don't have to do anything, it's just natural. The interaction model is completely natural. If you're using it on a 2D device, it's very, very common. If anybody has ever played a video game on a PC, they probably know how to navigate. The navigation keys are exactly the same that you would use in a game. So the familiarity, we're trying really hard to make sure that it works in much more natural ways to what you would expect based on what you're already used to. So the learning curve is very, very low. But we do encourage you to create your avatar before, and we hope that most people will find avatars pretty useful in Teams meeting anyway, so they would create it. And it's the same avatar you use for all immersive experiences as well. But we do have a recommendation of best practices that we share so that you can use those and figure out how to have an amazing first event. Any other questions? Yes?
If you're using it for onboarding, you might be onboarding somebody who may never use Teams in the environment. Once they go through the interview process, they might not be active in that Teams currently. How are you handling the people who are offsite and they're just receiving the invitation to a Teams meeting for an onboarding session? They're not Teams savvy in any way, or will they become Teams savvy?
Yeah. So the question is, especially for new employee orientations, that it's a new user to the organization itself. They've never done anything before. Same thing, the companies who are doing that usually set up another first meeting, which is purely about getting familiarized, another 15-minute in the morning before the new employee orientation starts, which is about how to start a Teams meeting. You get into a Teams meeting, they teach you how to create an avatar, and then you get started. It's a one-time thing that you have to do for a new employee, but for everybody else, we actually think it's going to be much easier because they probably already are familiar with avatars. Any other questions? Yes?
Just to kind of piggyback off of those questions, could you potentially do like a how to get started video?
Yes.
Have them kind of watch a video of the best practices and how to get started and to familiarize themselves with creating an avatar on academic teams and that sort of thing?
Yes, that is a great suggestion. We definitely have, like I said, we have onboarding materials to help you with that, and that includes videos and things like that too. Yes.
Remember that going immersive does not take you out of the meeting. So you can always be on that meeting call and then get some help as you go immersive.
Somewhat related to my earlier question. I still have my mixed reality headset. Can I use that, or do I have to get a Quest now?
We love your support. We really appreciate your enthusiasm and support. And in all honesty, a lot of that stuff has helped us get where we are. So we genuinely, I mean that very genuinely. We have learned a lot from mixed reality world. But unfortunately, we actually do not support the mixed reality headset. The only headset we currently support is Quest, and we have announced that later this year, we'll have support for Apple Vision Pro. Those are the only two headsets we support at this time. Really, thank you for coming. We really appreciate the questions and the feedback. And like I said, please stop by the expo hall and check it out yourself. Thank you.